Hey y'all, what it do? What's up? How are you? I'm pretty good. I'm Miss Loud. I'm Monie, Simone Loud, one half of LoveLoudd LLC, and I'm joined by Yaya, Yaskis, Shakita Banana, Unique Love,
all the above.
Yes. I was trying to give them all, but I couldn't think off the top of my head. But hey, y'all.
We are here.
It's our
Season
best
4,
friend.
episode 6.
Like my dance.
We is here. Yes, it's something. Welcome.
Yes.
For those of you that are joining us for the first time, most definitely thank you for tuning in. For those of you that are here because you love us and adore us and want our voices in your ear.
Every time you
Welcome back.
Every time you say for those of you, I always think of for those of you who think the
Got music has gone too far.
Every time, I try to keep it to myself. But
well,
anyway,
news for you. You ain't heard nothing yet.
And if you don't know,
now you know.
Go
in
again.
See how we been? Do you want to begin, ma'am?
Yeah, it seems like she been over something.
What are you doing?
I am on love and happiness.
Make it do right.
So this week, I'm starting to get into the rhythm of working late for work, but also coming in work late the next day because I worked late the day before.
Like coming in late or staying late?
No, I stay late. So like Monday nights I work late. So Tuesday morning I come in late.
Got you.
To recuperate my time. And then the gym schedule, and I did read on the train last time.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. And yeah, just like trying to getting into a balance. But I did figure out that the last few weeks I was in a state of depression. And like a lot of times for me it's like hard to put that label on it because it's like, well, I'm not depressed because I'm still eating, I'm still hanging out with friends, I'm still going to work, I'm still, like doing my quote unquote normal day to day. But then I noticed that I'm eating way more than I would typically eat in my day to day. I'm only smiling when I'm in front of people. I'm forcing myself to not try to give myself time because, different things. So it wasn't until another person, bless you, baby.
Thank you.
It wasn't until another person asked it, I felt, oh yeah, like I was thinking, yeah, like, am I depressed? But when the other person asked me, like, are you depressed? Have you been eating more than normal? And I was like, okay, I felt the validation, like I felt safe to call it that. And that sucks. Like it was great to have that from somebody else, and okay, I receive it. I'm not embarrassed about it, kind of thing. But it sucked that I couldn't feel okay enough to call it that for myself. But I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for the other person with speaking about the things that I've been dealing with, and letting me know that one, it's okay that I felt that way, and two, it's okay to live in it for that moment, however much time I need, and then to come out of it. So I'm dancing if you're watching, and I'm happy, and I may sound more uplifted during this episode because the last ones I was like, I described it as like I had a mask on with a smile, but underneath I wasn't feeling like glittery and happy and everything. So as of now, I am feeling back to my norm and feeling happy and goofy. So I'm just looking forward to staying in this rhythm. Cause I've been snacking so much, y'all. My gut is like crazy. That's why I made sure I got an oversized shirt today, because I'm like, 6 pounds came back. They need to go back out. I need to just like, but I'm telling myself it's okay because where I was mentally, I wasn't feeling okay. So now it's like, all right, I'm better. Let's get back to what I need to do. And not like making myself being like, okay, like make myself feel bad because I'm not where I was. But okay, we had to reset. Let's get back into it generously. Like, don't, give myself grace. Someone told me that. So that's what I've been saying in my head over and over again.
That's what you gotta do. I had a moment like that this week. Of feeling like just down and out, like what's next? What am I gonna do? Am I doing the right thing? Just kind of like, but trying to get out of my head about it. Like it's okay to think about those things and really trying to figure out, okay, what's the next step I want to do? I gotta make my next move, my best move, but I can't do it in a way where I'm stressing myself out over it. Like if I need to, journal about it, write it down, make a note to, all right, these are things that I need to do. Let me get to it. You know, whether it has to do with updating the resume or making sure I get a certain thing done by a certain time. Like I gotta make sure I catch up on my work, whether it's personal work, business related with LoveLoudd. Like sometimes it just feels like a lot of things just pile up and I'm like, yo, like
Dang, I forgot to say Yaya the Zoom link.
am I doing too much? Or have I not been properly managing my time? So now it feels like it's too much. I'm like, these are things that I've been doing, but some days it feels like it's too much. But then I also realize I can be on go mode, and then my body starts to crash and remind me like you haven't been taking the break that you needed to really take in order to make sure that you are functioning properly as a human being.
Yeah.
Be the you that you need to be.
I think listening to your body is really good too, because like for me this weekend I had two gym classes scheduled for one day, and the next day I had a gym session all in the morning, but I was tired from the week because my friend quote unquote Flo was here. Then like everything else that's on the schedule, and typically they be like, no, like you need to go to those gym classes, you got this body goal, da, da, da. But then it's also like, yeah, even the times this week that you went to the gym, it felt like the easiest work. It wasn't, y'all, but it felt like, you know, I usually these sit-ups don't, like I can bust through a certain amount before it starts hurting, but now it's like, oh, what is it? Is it 45 minutes yet? You know, like it's really tough. So that's my body telling me it's okay to cancel the classes. So I felt good with that. Like, Monie, I think I'm about to cancel these classes, and I went ahead and did it without feeling any like beating myself up for canceling it. So yeah, listening to yourself, listening to your body is really important, because now I feel better today.
Right. And then I also realized too, I started doing some spring cleaning. Not gonna lie, I'm about to be real transparent right now. It got to a point, like I have a small bedroom, and this is the smallest space I've ever lived in a while.
Shout out to New York.
I have a lot of things. I got a lot of shit. So I've been trying to find a way to like compress my things and make my space as manageable as possible. But I could also tell like over the past couple of weeks, I started to get real lazy. Like my room was looking crazy, and like my mind becomes a product of my environment, and I start to feel a little claustrophobic in my own space.
Yeah.
Like my dirty clothes hamper can only fit so much. And because I have so much, I wasn't concerned about washing my clothes. I probably wash them like once or twice a month because I go through so many clothes.
Me too.
But then it's like, okay, they not fitting. Now they starting to overflow. So now I got another bag of clothes that's not in the closet. But it's just like, all right, look, you gotta, in order to have a healthy mental space, I need to clear out my physical space in order to clear out my brain space. Like, because sometimes just after work, it's just something I just don't feel like doing. And then on the weekend, I'm like, dang, I want to rest. I'm like, dang, but I got things, adult chores, things that I need to do that I really don't want to do. And it's just like, yo, I cannot. Which reminds me, by the way, Yaya doesn't know I was going to say this. I'm looking for someone to replace me as editor of this podcast. So if you, for a reasonable price, I don't know, send your resume, send your
let's cut all that other stuff
send
out.
your
If you
reels.
are interested in working alongside LoveLoudd, podcast wise, producer, editor, all that stuff, just reach out to us.
Please.
Just leave it there.
LoveLoudd08@gmail.com, because yes, we need
help.
support, because life be lifing.
Yeah, but I think that's relatable, what you're saying. I feel the same way. About if my space is not clear and organized, then my brain feels the same way. Everything I was like making these judgments if you're watching us, because everything that Monie said, that's how I feel too. But my spring cleaning is a little bit more deeper. Like it's so hard. And shout out to Ronald again. I shout him out often. I know you're listening. He had this rule for me that he said, if you haven't worn it in 2 years, get rid of it. And that's so hard for me because a lot of times when I see something, it's like, oh, I ain't wear this, but it's gonna look cute this year, and then time passed and I still didn't wear it. Or like those jeans or that dress that I wore to my brother's wedding, it's like, dang, I used to be this small. I'm gonna slim down for it, and I don't slim down for it. So it's like, why am I still holding on to this? And it's taking up space. And I can have so much more space if I get rid of it. Or I can get something new if I get rid of it.
Right.
So it's just a lot of like just making space literally for your bedroom or your home, making space in your brain so it's clear, but you have to clear out that space, making space in your calendar for time to rest, to have me time and not to be on go all the time. We have to have a balance in life.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you for checking.
Beautiful balance. Up, down, left, right.
New Balance.
All
I
around.
don't have any New Balances actually.
I actually don't either. Actually, wait. No, I wanted a pair. I haven't bought them yet. See, and this is why I need more space.
Sorry, I should have brought out shoes with some.
Yeah, I'm basically a shoe store. I'm a shoe store. Matter of fact, I'm retail. My room is retail. I have clothes everywhere, under the bed, under the window, in the closet, in the drawers. Yeah, I need more space. Anywho, let's not digress.
Let's not take up any more of your space.
Right, because you want to get into the show. So I am going to give you the rundown for this here episode. So going on over to the icebreaker, Yaya and I will be playing the game of concentration, where we have to stay on rhythm or we're going to get kicked out of the game based on the category. A lot of fun if you saw it previous season. So we'll see how we can get through it this season. Then heading on over into Suite 223, we have a very special guest, a poet by the name of Zainab, who is going to bless our hearts, minds, and spirit with her poetry. Make sure you are tuned in for that. This will be her very first time joining us on Suite 223. Then in our hot topic segment, we have Edeline, who is joining us to talk about sex therapy and how it relates or compares to other types of therapy, the differences, and how it can or cannot help you in your life experiences. Because a lot of us don't even know what sex therapy involves. And some of what you may be thinking is probably not that.
Or it might be.
It might be. You got to tune in to find out. Then heading over into the dorm story segment, we're going to share a story about an experience of having a sex therapist. And then we are going to close out with our beautiful community news, the announcements. Make sure you tune in all the way to the end because there is going to be something for everyone. So make sure that you are tuned in to find out. And that closes out the rundown. So now we can head on over to the ice. I don't know what that was.
That was my maracas.
Sounded more like a tambourine.
Okay. It's time for our icebreaker segment. We're gonna have some fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so just work on that intro for the icebreaker segment. Welcome. Here we are.
Okay, y'all.
Ready to play a game.
If you heard the rundown, we are playing a game of concentration. That's what they call it on the West Coast. So Monie is gonna sing the song first because I don't want to screw it up. But basically, in this game, if you fast forward to this part, we have to stick to a topic. If it's like colors, then we have to say colors back and forth, starting with Monie and Yaya, then blah blah blah. And whoever messes up by stuttering or repeating something, they're out of the game.
Yep, not staying on the beat.
Oh yeah, staying on the beat. All right. Yes. All right, let's start.
All right, concentration is the game. Keep the rhythm, or you will be out the game. Starting with influential women. Starting with Yaya,
Hillary Clinton,
Michelle Obama,
Kamala Harris,
Maya Angelou,
Pinky Cole,
Oprah Winfrey,
Harriet Tubman,
Rosa Parks.
Stop. Take a lot like that. I didn't even know. Some of the ones that I wanted to say.
Let's go.
Taraji.
I was gonna say that one too. You know that's Mama Taraji. Mama Taraji.
Oh, man. Oh, great. Okay. Shout out to those women. Dang, I should have went through the list for my shirt. I got a TLC shirt.
Right, you could have just said TLC. Oh,
Beyonce.
I thought you was gonna say Queen Bee, but you did not. I'm very surprised.
I was thinking about, you know.
All right, you wanna do another round?
Yeah.
Ooh, you got a category you wanna do? You know the one I wanna do, but you don't wanna do it.
You want to do colors? Let's do candy.
Candy, all right. All right, candy.
I taste just like candy.
So dance with me. Here we go. Concentration is the game. Keep the rhythm. Boogie out the game. Starting with candy. Starting with Yaya.
Twizzlers.
Twigs.
Now labels.
Reese's.
Fishy kisses.
Cookies and cream.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
You know what sucks about the game is I try to think ahead and you cannot think ahead, you just gotta say it.
That's what I be doing. I'm like, all right. What I'm gonna say next? What she gonna say is gonna mess me up.
But I took too long now and later. That took my whole thing.
I was gonna say cookies and cream Hershey, but I couldn't say that, so I just said cookies and cream.
But I know what you meant the bar, right?
Yeah.
And then that made me think about cookies. So
Look
that's,
at an Oreo. I was like,
but that's not
candy.
candy.
Oh, it's not a candy. It's a
Yeah.
cookie.
It's okay. Thanks for listening. I was fun. I won twice for mommy.
Until we play again. Now we are heading on over into
Sweet 2, 2, 3. Let go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our poetry segment, Sweet 223. This episode, we have another special featured poet who's going to be sharing poetry with us today, and I'm really excited to hear the poems that are going to be recited on our podcast. Our special featured poet is Zainab. Welcome to our podcast.
Hi,
And
thanks for having me.
of course, so we're excited to get into your poetry, so you can jump in with your poem that you're going to share with us.
Fantastic. I'm very excited to share with you Boundless. This was the first poem I've ever performed live at an open mic, and kind of was the start of this journey. Our love may have died, murdered at your hands, but I will survive, as I always have. This story is about me and my immense capacity for love, even though it is a tragedy and not the romance I thought it was. In the end, it will be good, because I know that's what I was. I was caring and compassionate, selfless in every aspect. I was thoughtful and considerate, understanding and forgiving, patient and supportive. I was all the things you needed, and I saw the joy I brought you. I witnessed the healing touch of my gentle heart, and that's what the story is all about. It's about how tender I was, even though I was hurting, how loving I was, even though I was broken, how hopeful I was when everything seemed hopeless. This is the story of my power, which I've discovered is boundless.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was like sweet but strong and stirring at the same time of how I noticed, or the author, but I want to say it's me because I like to say that I wrote the poems that I'm here because a lot of them are relatable. We go through these things where we're hurting, but we still stand strong and try to still convey love and compassion no matter how much we're hurting inside. So I like that. When I'm hearing it, I'm like, yeah, that definitely describes somebody who has no bounds. Like I would go through over the highest mountain
Right,
and
above
then
and beyond.
below the lowest of lows to show my affection and my care for you, even though you're hurting me.
Yeah, it immediately made me think like just like the nurturing state of a woman. Like
Yeah.
I could be going through all of
Yes.
these things, but I'm going to look past what I'm going through to make sure that you are good.
Mhm.
Because sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves when we're being so loving and open to others to making sure that they're okay. Just that nurturing aspect of just wanting to make everything all right. But we
Yeah.
have to be able to come back to ourselves and make sure that we all right too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure you good, girl.
Yes, we can. You please share your inspiration for the piece.
I would love to. And there's a reason this poem is the title of my first chapbook, which is coming out next month. Because what I realized, what the inspiration was for this poem was the realization that I was not the center of my own universe. I mean, this book is about relationships, but not just romantic ones, platonic relationships, friendships, family, in any kind of relationship. Sometimes some of us have been conditioned to put everyone else first and put ourselves last and just focus on the other person's narrative. And I realized I was doing that on purpose because I didn't want to deal with my own shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here. But I was using some of my relationships to just escape. And then I realized, you know what? No, this isn't about what anyone else did to me. This is about what I have been able to do for other people and for myself. So just bringing the focus back on me after all this time. And it's nice. It's a good feeling, but there's also pain because you realize not everyone is prepared to receive that love. Like not everyone can handle the kind of love I was handing out. And that means sometimes you end up alone. You end up isolating a little bit to kind of protect your energy and your power. But that's what the theme of the whole book is: your power, using your power the way you want to and not losing it to anyone else.
Yes. Oh
I
my
love
God, that
that.
is so powerful. Yes, my love, not like the love that you have, like someone not being able to handle or to care for, like being mindful of like who has access to your heart. Yeah, everybody can't love you how you are meant to be loved. Like that's big. That's
Right.
very, very powerful. Like be mindful of the who you're giving yourself access to.
Yeah.
Be mindful of the energy that you're bringing in based off who you have around you. Yes,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
So we want to know who you are. How did you get into poetry? And I also want to know what your story of you were worrying about everyone else because you were hiding from yourself, and then you decided to tap into yourself. But with tapping into yourself, you decided to share your poems in the form of a book, and that's being vulnerable. So, who are you as a person? Who are you as a poet? And why now share your poems?
That's a great question. And honestly, it took a long time for me to get to a place where I could share my poetry, where I could share a lot of things about me. And I'll honestly, one of the main reasons, the reason I started performing poetry live, the reason I created my poetry page on social media was because I entered a phase where I decided to face all my fears. That's what it was. I got out of this toxic relationship and I realized that I I felt powerless and I wanted to feel powerful again. And so I thought to myself, okay, what am I afraid of and how am I going to overcome this fear? And one of the things I was afraid of was opening up to people, sharing, because that's what got me in trouble. I felt like I shared too much and then I got taken advantage of. So there's some trust issues there for sure. And it all ties into my story as a child. I was raised by single mom, and me, my older sister, and my mom was always the three of us, and there was always a bit of a distrust of men, and some abandonment issues caused by my father leaving. And later in my teen years, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And so I've had a really long journey with like mental health, with the ups and the downs, a lot of downs. And what inspired me to share is that I realized, one day I was thinking to myself, why me? I hate to, but sometimes we just get into that simpy mode and we're like, oh, why me? And the answer came to me, and it was because you have to help the others. The only thing that gives all the awful things that I've had to experience any sort of purpose or reason or meaning is telling myself that I'm still here so I can help other people who've gone through the things I've gone through. And that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know, maybe I'm aiming too high. I've always wanted to inspire people. I've always been the type of person who wants to make change. Even in my job right now, I work in inclusion and diversity. I do a lot of advocacy for people with disabilities as well, because I myself have a disability. I stutter when I speak sometimes, and that's been part of my journey of acceptance, like just accepting that I used to hide a lot of these things about me in my relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, just to not have to have that conversation, because it's like 1% of the population has this sort of speech disability. It's very uncommon, and people don't really understand how to be accommodating towards you. So there's a lot of different factors that go into my story. But now, gosh, I don't want to jinx it, knock on wood. Now I'm at a point where I just want to tell everyone everything. And I want everyone to just like accept themselves, to embrace themselves, to stop hiding themselves and stop being afraid. So this wasn't the only thing. This wasn't the only fear that I faced speaking in public, performing on stage, sharing my innermost feelings. It was small things like birds. I'm terrified of birds. So I sit outside and just stand in front of the birds and be like, no, I'm not afraid of you. It was the small things. Every single fear I could think of, I was just like, okay, this next month, all I'm doing is like facing every single fear to tell my brain I can survive it. And that's kind of what this led to.
Yes, oh my gosh, I love that. Had you not even mentioned anything about your speech, because the way that you flowed through your poetry, I would have never known. But for you to be vulnerable enough to get on stage and to want to share your art, share your story with others, despite having a disability and being an inspiration to others who may want to do the same thing, want to speak out to others, but because they have this disability they feel like it's holding them back, they're afraid to do so. So you are helping others just by doing what you are doing right now.
Right.
You are fulfilling your purpose.
Yeah.
And that is wonderful.
And I want to add, what I loved is that you turned what people would label as a negative into a positive to be able to help people. You said that you had an issue with trusting people. You said you had an issue with speaking out, with letting people know, being vulnerable about the stories that you went through and the pain that you've endured. You turned your pain into strength. You turned your distrust into trusting. You turned your fear of judgment into, I don't care what you think, but this is going to help somebody. You're putting it all on Front Street. And today's date is a date, right? But some years later or decades later, somebody's going to hear this and it's going to relate. Somebody's going to be able, to relate to the story that you're sharing today, even with your book. And that's what I love about our poetry too. And we connect the same thing with every poet that we have on here. We read poems that we wrote 15 years ago, a day ago, whenever. It's always relatable, whether it's for us, that other person. It could have been a situation with a guy, our parents, whatever, but somebody's gonna always find some connection to what you're sharing. So I love how you basically changed what I said, the negatives into a positive. So thanks for being strong and vulnerable and trusting to share this today.
Thank you for having me. Folks like me, I fall into every single category of marginalized, immigrant, Muslim, woman of color with a disability. It's like, it's hard for us to even get a platform, it's hard for us to get jobs, for us to get interviews, for us to be acknowledged and seen. So thank you for this, for today.
Yes, absolutely. And we would love, if you have it, to share another piece with us?
I would be happy to. So this is another one from the book, and it really it's gonna sound a little bit unique, a little bit unorthodox, and so I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback on it. Here we go. It's called Trailblazing. The details of the story are inconsequential. The nuances of every manipulation and betrayal don't deserve to be held in memory. The space I hold is only for myself. I hold space for my existence. I celebrate my evolution. I forgive myself for my mistakes. I no longer chase retribution. I contemplate my blessings. I live each day with intention. I manifest my successes and create the future I envision. I live here and now, present in this moment. My heart is open. I am ready to be showered with good fortune. Challenges are welcome to try to detract me, but I will shoulder my burdens with grace and dignity. I will walk with my head held high with newfound confidence because my heart and mind are finally in alignment. I have never felt more alive than I do in this moment. So don't ask me what I've done or where I've been. Ask me instead what I am doing and where I go from here. Ask me what I will accomplish and what adventures lay ahead, because the new me is prepared to blaze trails you've never imagined. Thank you.
Love it. Aw.
Yes. Honey, that's me today. You just described my life.
Yes.
I'm so in tune and aligned with what I'm trying to do with my life. Like some things, like I'm holding space for myself to heal in the way that I want to heal and do the things the way that I want to do them, regardless of like the outside world and what may be trying to impede upon my positivity. Even just today, perfect example, I was sitting in mad traffic for no reason. And as much as I wanted to be upset because I couldn't get to where I wanted to be at the time that I wanted to be there, I can't stress over things that I can't control. So I'm just like, well, you know what? It's just traffic. I mean, I'm safe. I'm still going to get to my destination. It's taking a little longer than I would like, but I cannot get upset about that. So I just enjoy the ride, enjoy the music, enjoy the view. Like, it's still going to be a good day. Like, you can pick and choose the things that you choose to make you upset or find the positive in it. That's just how. And when it comes to like altering our state of mind and what we truly want to manifest and bring into our lives, because even when it comes to manifestation, it's more than just like the bigger picture and the bigger things in the future. We can manifest things in the present just by changing our point of view in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Yes.
I love that.
Loves it. Come on, trailblazing.
Yes, I love a lot of times Monie and I have the same answer, so I'll give the other part that I was thinking, which is when you were sharing, I was thinking of a tractor, like on a cornfield or something, and when you trail through this life that you're living in the confidence with your head held high, you're leaving traces behind you so that someone can either follow the path that you went through. You're making a path for the people that's following after you. But then also for you to look back and see where you came from and remember those down days that you had or the beautiful days that you had. Everything's a journey and it's gonna be ups and downs throughout it all, and beautiful things and hurtful things. But even at the end, those things that hurt you become beautiful too, because it's like, dang, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be as successful or as happy or as confident that I am now, or I wouldn't appreciate the journey because everything was so easy. So I don't have to be as grateful for the blessings that I received. So I love that poem that you shared.
I love how you put that. As far as like creating the path that others can follow. Like, I love that.
Yeah, but I got that from Zainab. So thank you for sharing that piece. And I also heard your story in that too. The things that you shared with us prior to you sharing this piece. I heard you in that poem. Yes. So I appreciate you sharing that with us today.
I loved your insight, especially on the, because I always say on how easy, like when things are easy, it's not really, it doesn't feel as satisfying. I always say nothing worth having comes easy, and that's an important reminder for all of us because we all have shit that we're trying to deal with. Yeah. And so that's a really important reminder that everything that's worth having is worth fighting for.
Come on. Yes, Jim.
Gym drop. The gym drop. Is there anything else that you want to share with us before we close out?
I would like to share that I know folks tell me I seem so confident. You don't seem like you have anxiety. Oh, sometimes you don't stutter when you speak. And it might look easier than it is to do what we do, what we all do, what you do as artists, as creatives who share your story. It's not easy. It's not easy. Every day it's like it's a constant battle of what do I want to share? What will the consequences be? And so to whoever is listening to this, I think the most important takeaway is don't be your own worst enemy. Like everyone else out there is going to criticize, is just waiting for an opportunity to put you down. Don't be one of those people. If there's one person in the world that should not be kind of putting you down and trying to doubt you, it should be yourself. So we can't do anything about the outside world. We can't do anything about the haters, about all the problematic people out there. We can't do anything about that. We can't change them. The only thing we can do is change the inner voice right here. And it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
Thank you,
I
thank
love
you,
that.
thank you so much, Zainab. And before we let you go, we forgot to mention how we even came across Zainab
Oh,
in the
yeah.
first place. She was the winner of our February giveaway. Sharing what self-love means to her or self-care.
Yes.
So yeah, so found out that she was a poet, heard her work, we were like, gotta have her on the show.
Thank you.
Before we let you go, please let the people know where they can find you. So when that book is released,
Yeah.
they can go ahead and purchase it.
Well, you can find me at any open mic because that's where I'll be. But online, you can find stories untold _ poetry, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever else. There is a link in all of the bios that will take you to my live performances. And just a bit of context behind the logo and the name. I mean, if it's not obvious, it reflects what I've shared today, right? These are untold stories. They're not always my stories. I don't just write about my stories. I write about things I see, things I hear, things I experience, sometimes things I watch on TV that I'm like, oh, that's kind of deep. So everyone has a story. And my hope is that when you look through the stories, aka poems that I've written, that you find something that you can relate to.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And of course, everyone, we're going to put all the info in the description so that you can go ahead and follow Stories Untold _ poetry on the internet.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time. I feel so blessed with this opportunity to have spoken with you. Like Monie said, we didn't know you prior to now, but you are definitely going to be one of LoveLoudd's friends.
Yes.
So I look forward to speaking with you again and to your book release and just learning more and hearing more about you. So also shout out to Cali.
Right, you're in San Francisco, right?
I am actually in the San Francisco Bay Area.
So when I come home, connect in person.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, we have to hit the beach. If you don't go to the beach once a month, what's the point of living in such an expensive state?
That part. But thank you so much. Until next.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much, ladies. This has been the highlight of my week. I really appreciate you. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Bye.
Hey y'all, we are now in our cash segment, which if you don't know, then you might just be listening because we have a special guest on our podcast, but we have Edeline here for our Truth Carpet Hot Topic segment to talk about all the things therapy, sex, juicy, hot, steamy sex. So
Don't think that's necessarily what we're talking about, but okay.
I said, kidding, guys. I'm just so excited to have one of my close friends here, Eddie or Edeline, on our podcast. Eddie, tell the people about yourself. Who are you? What would you say if somebody said, like, who is this lady you have on your podcast?
Well, first I wanted to say I love what you said, because yes, sex should be hot, steamy, a lot of excitement added on to it. So I love the energy starting off.
Thank you.
But like, to me, if you ask me what I am, I would say I'm a multitude of things. I am a professional secret keeper. That's what I usually tell people
Okay.
when they first ask me about my job. But overall, like if you're looking at my credentials, I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I also have clinical background in domestic violence counseling, as well as drug and alcohol counseling. And I'm currently in my very last semester, 3 more weeks left, and finishing up my certification for sex therapy. However, I've been doing this for about like sex therapy 4 to 5 years now, and doing marriage and family therapy and general therapy for over 10 years.
Wow. See? That's the juice and the spice.
Right. I must say, for those that are watching, this is not planned. This color coordination that we got going, it just happens, okay?
Right? I love it.
It's
I love it. Put us all together with a little
Yes.
the vibe, we ready. The vibe is set.
Yes. So you mentioned your resume basically and all the things that you do. So the first degree that you earned before on your therapy journey, aside from psychology degree, you became a marriage and family therapist. What inspired you to become a family therapist?
Okay, well, I also wanted to add on, I forgot to note that, I am also a private practice owner, Black businesses. All right. But honestly, it was because of my first job after undergrad, honestly. Like, I was working in a group home, and it was with a lot of, well, I know we don't have the access system anymore, but it was a lot of people with like access one disorders with a behavioral component. And the one thing I noticed the most of is like those who had any type of family involvement or had a sense of community, they were thriving and were actually getting better compared to those who were very isolated. And I come from a culture of like, I'm Haitian, I'm Haitian descent. That's very important to me. And me and my upbringing, family, community was also so important. So when I saw that and I saw how important family dynamics played on just the mental health of people, whether it's for a good reason or bad reason, I just felt like in order for me to be doing the best type of therapy that I would like to do for my clientele, I need to know more about families, relationships, and dating.
Yes. Okay. So when you went from that first job into the family systemic world of working, what would you say that experience has been for you?
I loved it. When I first started off, I was working with the incarcerated population. And Unique will know this a little. Well, Yay will know. Yaya, I don't know which name.
All the names.
Say all of them. But like, it was so different. Like, I will honestly say my very first client, I contributed to my supervisor at the time. She was like, "Oh, you're great." She said she was going to sit there with me on my very first day. I'm like, "Okay, great." I walked into my unit, and I was like, "Wait, she's not here. I don't see her bag anywhere. Okay, maybe she's coming late. The session don't start until a little bit later." Then I ended up giving her a call. She's like, "Oh, I'm not coming." I'm like, "What?" Right? Heart drop. Because I did what you were not supposed to do, which is I read the person's rap sheet at the time. And I read all the violent crimes they did. I read what they did to their inmate, like their roommates, things like that. And I was like, "Oh, okay. You expect me to be alone with this individual?" Wow. Y'all bold. So I actually ended up being in the room. And I remember when he walked in, and he was walking in like he was so tough. And I remember he sat down and I was shaking in my boots. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, no one could tell, but I was shaking. And he literally was just like, "Me and my girlfriend got into a fight today." And I was like, "Oh, this is normal." Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like, it really made me realize, like, regardless of what anyone may be going through, again, the importance of like family, the importance of your relationships. And one thing I will say that my alum, like the school I graduated from, did a really great job on is really incorporating how important it is to capture each person that's been in the room. So like I've worked with couples, I've worked with families with like 6 people in the room. I've worked with tripods, which is like, you know, a poly relationship where all people are in that room. And sometimes it's really hard to engage every person. That's one thing I realize a lot of people in the field say that they have great difficulty with, is actually like what to do when there's more than one person, all of this information is coming at you. And I will say that really equipped me. I don't know if I answered the question, but I hope I did.
You're doing a really good job answering. I like this response.
Yeah, because I really, really loved your opening example of how you read this rap sheet and you had this expectation of who this person was before they even walked into the room, assuming station whatever they were going to talk about was going to be, but then really humanizing that person when she sat down with them and realized what they actually wanted to talk about. Like, we all go through things, we've all done things,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, you know, we all go through something, we all have emotions, and it's just sometimes it just takes someone that we can really be vulnerable with to help us get through what we're going through. So yeah, I love that example.
Yes, yes.
So in your journey, there's like a ladder. You finished high school, then you decided to study to get your bachelor's degree, then you decided to study to get your master's degree. And a lot of people, that's either the end, or people know this whole doctoral degree thing too, but there's certifications that's like sprinkled all over the place, and different things that you can do once you reach this level that is already up here. It's like, dang, you still going, Eddie? You still going? So like you decided to study and become a sex therapist. Girl, what is that? Like, are you gonna like teach me how to ride somebody? Like, what is a sex therapist?
You know what's funny? That is the number one question that I get asked all the time. Like, oh, so like you in the room, you showing them what to do? Like, no, okay. It's honestly, well, I want to answer the first part. I don't know why I'm a forever student. I'm always being made fun of because I am always in school, always like learning and growing, especially like trying to hone in my craft. Like overall, I always wanted to be, for those who are a little older, if you ever watched the movie Hitch, because I was shocked that not a lot of people know what that is. Like, damn.
I'm older. I'm like, wait, what you missing? But I know that movie.
Oh, dare you? But I've always wanted to have like a gimmick. Like I didn't want to have to advertise myself everywhere and put myself out there. I wanted people to just know who I am, and those who needed to find me were able to find me. But because of that, I was like, what is it that I really care about? And like, I know for me, I remember like when I was in like high school, middle school, like all I was able to really do if I wasn't in an extracurricular activity or in a club, I was only able to go to the library, right? So like I love the library, I love reading, and that was like my thing. And I remember the moment I turned like 12 or 13 and I was able to go into the adult section in the library. Very first book I checked out was about sex. It was like the big book of sex. And it was also like the second book was like a relationship, you know, those little Harlequin romance novels or whatever the case may be. And I really think that truly helped shape my dynamic of like what I wanted to do. Because I know I've always wanted to do therapy, but I'm not like the gimmicky one that's always going to sit there like, so what I'm hearing you like, that's corny. Like no one really should be going to, well, everyone has different needs. I'll say it that way. But that's not how I wanted to be a therapist. And I remember one of my graduate professors, he said to us, he was just like, I remember once I was in class and I was just really quiet. He was just like, I don't see you being quiet as a therapist. And I'm like, what? That's a lie. I'm very quiet. He's just like, no, that's not your personality. And then while also doing therapy and going and working with the incarcerated population while still already working in group homes and all of that, I realized how important substances were. So just okay, I do have this family therapy degree, but what's also important is just like everyone has some type of addiction, right? whether it is a narcotic, whether it's alcohol, whether it's relationships, whether it is sex, you know what I mean? Whether it's television, whether it's work, we have something that we use as an escape. And sometimes that escape can be very detrimental to the relationships that you have in hand. So I was just like, all right, I want that. And then I had a job where they were like, okay, you have marriage and family, great. You did the you have drug and alcohol, awesome. But we need you to get domestic violence. I'm like, what? I gotta do something. Oh, God. So then it was like, boom. So then I went back into that and I was doing domestic violence work and I had to get that training. And then again, like when you talk about drugs, when you're talking about domestic violence, what always comes up? Relationships, sex, sexual violence that aren't even always reported all the time. But I was like, that's so negative. Like, I was just like, I don't want that negative connotation around sexuality and all of that, because that's not how it was taught to me growing up. Even though it wasn't talked about all the time, it wasn't something that was supposed to be like fearful or anything like that. So when I was in my graduate program, and I will say I love the program that was at Seton Hall. I'm going to shout out Seton Hall, but also Rutgers. I know they rivals, and I went to both. I don't want nobody chewing myself. But like when I went to Seton Hall, we had a professor, and she was our sex therapy professor, and like she gave a completely different outlook on sex. And I was just like, what? I want to do this. Like, she brought like, I remember like a big book of vaginas and like all the different. I know. Response was everyone's in class like, oh my God, that's fascinating. Wow, there's so many different sizes, you know? And then I found out like there was a big book and like all of the other things and like learning about sensuality and like sensei focus work and, you know, learning about like more about the LGBT community and like everything else. I was just like, I need to know more. And I'm one of those, like, I will do the research. I am known as like a Snapple bottle fact. I will know the most random facts about anything. And so, like, for me, it was just like, I gotta continue. So if I already got the drug and alcohol, if I already have the domestic violence, I can't stop. And I have to do what I've always loved, which was sex therapy.
Yes, come through.
Yes. I love that. So I'm glad that you shared the details of the book and you know what people think and everything. Because while you were speaking, it made me think about the Netflix series they had. I can't remember the name of the show, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I turned the episode on. Like as a kid, I was shy to even if a song came on and had the word sex in it, I would like not say it as if it was a cuss word. And then I'll be shy to even, you know, mention sex or talk about sex around adults, especially. But then now I like that it's one normalized. I do this because that's a word that we like to say for things like, oh, it's normalized when it should have been a normal thing, right? But just like watching the sex therapists work with their clients in that way, it wasn't like you said, just about, well, like Monie hinted to, it's not just about like how you ride and how, like positions and everything, but it's the connection that you build with that person as well. So just like seeing firsthand how the therapists were working with the clients in that way was really interesting. But we want to, oh sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it's okay. I just realized I didn't answer that part of the question.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. Because you said why you chose it or what sparked your interest, but we wanted to know what sex therapists offer to their clients that others don't. So why should I go to a sex therapist and not just a counselor that I find online?
Because not a lot of counselors are actually taught how to deal with sexuality. And I think that's like the biggest thing. A lot of times it's such a taboo question. Like literally, even during my intake, even if you're not coming in for sex therapy, I ask you, like, are you sexually active? And I'm usually, oh, I can't believe she asked me that. And then I'll ask, are you satisfied? And they're like, wow, I can't believe she asked that. Because what that already does by just starting off that conversation is letting you know that this is a safe space to even talk about any of those things, right? And when you're going to a sex therapist, we're actually not just doing that talk therapy that is so important, but we're actually giving you homework. Now, again, I may not be the one to tell you, oh, you know, if you want to learn how to do some doggy, you could just like, you know, this is how you arch your back this way, you know. Granted, could I do that? Possibly, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's more like teaching certain aspects. It's never about going straight into sex. And I think that's what most people think. It's just like when you go to a sex therapist, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is like, all right, buy this toy, which again, if you need to know all of that, I can tell you. But buy this toy for that, buy this thing for him. If y'all want to add a little extra spice, do this and that. Of course, I have those tools. But let's first talk about what's holding you back from the beginning. So like, let's say it's a little bit of like, I like to call it eject out unpredictable. So it's not like, you know, it's not always about a premature ejaculation and like making it so negative where a guy's also feeling that spark to it. But like, okay, let's talk about the history behind it. And not a lot of times people, especially therapists, understand the biology of what can be going on with your body. Right? We do have the idea of like ruling out other things and going to see a doctor and getting X, Y, and Z done. But after we get those results and what we're finding out, it's like, okay, now if your concern is that there's pain during intercourse, before we even talk about the techniques, has this been something that's happened throughout your whole time of having sex? Or is it with this particular partner? Or if it is with this particular partner, has it been going on the whole time? Or did something occur? Because we don't even realize a lot of the times we have psychosomatic symptoms, meaning that sometimes we can make our own self symptomatic based off of what's going on. Now, think about it from this perspective. If you're pissed off with your partner and they trying to have a little sexy time with you, are you going to be willing to have it at that moment? No, right? Right? You're not going to want it. Your body's not going to react to his touches or her touches, whatever you're into. Your body's not going to react to their touches the same way that it normally would have because there's already something blocking that for you. And a lot of times in relationships, people forget to act like partners and start acting like roommates because they see each other every single day. So the things that used to turn them on aren't being done anymore. It's like, but I see you every day, but we do this and we do that. So before we can even talk about anything sexually done, let's incorporate that emotional connection. Because once you create that emotional connection between your partners, then they'll be more open and willing to exploring and trying out new things. Because if I'm already feeling like my needs aren't being met, and then my partner is telling me I don't give them enough head, and you expect me to do that when they don't even take out the garbage or help me with the child, like, you get what I mean? Like, it's a 50-50 spot. So it's more about, like, again, not just doing that talk therapy, but that behavioral component where I might tell you as a sex therapist, I want you guys to have sex 3 times this week. You get what I mean? And it has to be spontaneous. You know what I mean? I might even create an assignment for that. I might, if someone has some issues with like sensory issues or whatever the case may be, I might even recommend like a massage. You get what I mean? But doing like a red light, green light situation where you're already mapping out your body in parts where you feel comfortable with that person touching. But then maybe there's a yellow zone that you can slowly start feeling comfortable with getting into before we can slowly get rid of all the red, if that makes sense. But again, all the assignments are typically tailored towards that individual. I'm not the type of person that will ever just take something out the ass and be like, oh, why don't you try this? Because I don't think it's fair to my clients. But it's more, and that's why it's so important to have that talk therapy aspect of like, okay, what are some of your limitations? What are some of your fears? Because if I know my client has a fear of public speaking and doesn't like to be put on the spot, am I going to tell them to be a sexy cowboy, do it in front of their spouse? No, that might not be something that they would be comfortable with. But maybe I'll start them off with like, why don't you just buy some lingerie? If that's something you've never done before, boom, that's already something out of their comfort zone. And that's already giving their partner that green light of letting them know, wait a minute, maybe they're trying to do something more right then and there.
Sexy time.
It's play. Like, when you really think about it, it's play. It's a way of exercise. It's a way of releasing all of that aggression and all of that inside of you. But that's why I will say it's so important to have that domestic violence and like substance abuse background, because sometimes it teeters. right? Like, let's say someone's into BDSM, and I know I'm going a little bit deeper into this. Like, let's say someone's into BDSM, and a lot of times people think that's linked to some type of trauma in their childhood, which in reality, that's not necessarily true. But let's say someone was taught that by a previous partner, and now they're coming into my room and they're like, oh, my partner's doing X, Y, and Z, and they're not adhering by our safe words and all these other things, but they're telling me this is able to give that information.
So I'm hearing you, and when you're sharing all the details that you're sharing, it's a lot of we and partner. So I'm wondering if there's ever been an experience, or could there be an experience where one person comes into session, like like if there's a relationship, I'm thinking just two people in a relationship, and one person sees there's a problem or there's something that's going wrong with not even just like sex in bed, but intimately between us. Like I love you, I care about you, but I don't feel that connection or that spark that we used to have. Let's go to therapy, and that the partner is like, nah, I'm good off that. I don't need to go. Is it possible for that one person that sees the issue to come to work on that, or does it take two to tango in this situation?
No, absolutely. A lot of times in the beginning, I just get the one partner that's coming in, honestly. And sometimes it's that one person throughout the whole time, and the partner would be the one to like, ask her about this. You know? I get that all the time too. So, because you got to think about it, once we start to change, if that person's going to stay in our life, they have to change too, right? So sometimes it's more about, and that's why I do like doing individual work. I love couples work and family work and all of that too, but that individual work can really make me hone in on building that individual self-confidence, self-esteem, and all of that, so they can probably say the words to their partner they probably never had I don't even the courage to say. You get what I mean? And because that partner sees it, that power struggle that typically happens in relationships, they may need to take that one down position to be there.
Okay, so when we first started speaking with you, you said you had a couple more months until you finished sex therapy and studying that. What's been the most interesting thing that you've learned thus far, or you experienced thus far?
In my program?
Or in sessions, whatever you want to share.
There's so many. I'm just trying to I'm just trying to make sure I'm not violating no HIPAA or nothing like that while thinking about this. I guess it's the exposure. That's one thing I will say I do love about my program is that it has prepared me to not make any type of facial expressions because I've probably heard or seen everything. And I do mean that. Like, my program has one of the things that I've liked about it is that we had a course where we had to watch or interview various or not interview presentations from various walks. So we've had to watch videos on like bestiality and like
Wow.
yeah, like literally I've seen a dog have sex with a woman. I've seen men have sex with like animals. I've seen like scat play, which again, you don't want to look that up unless you want to really know what that means. Water play, like anything that you can possibly think of, I have seen. And I think that has helped me so much because most of the time, whenever someone talks about whatever their kinks are, whatever the case may be, it's always linked to some type of shame.
Yeah.
Which I'm always trying to inform my clients, like, I hope you know fantasies have nothing to do with morals and values. You get what I mean? And like the most vanilla way of thinking about that is like when people like to get tied up or like, like, oh, I want you to ravish me. You know what I mean? Like do a little bit of that role play. But no one actually wants anyone to tie them up and take advantage of them. Do you get what I mean?
Right.
So that's the most PG version of it. So like when I start hearing different things and they're always like, well, I like this. I'm like, okay.
They're like meek about it.
Right.
Yeah, meek about it. And it's like, okay, let's keep talking about it. Okay. Oh wait, she didn't like look at me weird and make a huge reaction. Like I just said that again, I'm trying not to say anything that I've heard because I didn't get no permission from it from levels.
Gotcha.
I mean, as I do talk to my fellow therapists about that, and I know Ye knows a few of my stories when I be like, bruh, you'll never believe it, right? How the hell do I deal with this? But like it's fun. Like I really do think it keeps me on my toes, especially in the field of sex therapy. There is something new that pops up almost every single day.
Yeah.
And it is my job as a therapist to know that information. Like I can't expect my clients to teach that to me. So like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm always on like Pornhub watching different things because I need to see what people are actually entertaining themselves with. I've gone and presented at swinger parties and like watched it like, oh, I can't believe this just happened. But you get what I mean? It's still like pushing forward with it. So there's been like so many different examples of how I've seen it. But one thing I've noticed is that especially when people are in their play, they're so happy. You know what I mean? They're so light and so free. So instead of us looking at people of like what our own yucks and yums are, like I really do believe you do not yuck anyone's yum. Because especially if it doesn't impact your own personal life, there's no point of it. Right now, unless it impacts their life, that's a completely different story. You get what I mean? But like, if someone comes into you, says that, a 50-year-old man, and he's like, I love cross-dressing, but I'm having an issue with my partner with this. Okay, cool. Let's talk about that. To, you know what, some minor attracted adults, like I really am attracted to this 10-year-old boy and I don't know how to stop myself. And processing that to again going from the most extreme to like I am really attracted to this, I'm going to make something up, but true story, the object I'm making up, but I'm really in love with my refrigerator and I feel like that's my partner. Okay, let's process that. You get what I mean? So it's just like you have to be able to work with anything that may be coming into your room, because who are we to tell anyone who they should be loved, who should be loved, and what they should love, or whom they should love, and also how should it be expressed, especially if it's not hurting anyone.
Right. Absolutely. I love how you shared that your program basically worked to desensitize you all from things, because like you said, you can't have your clients teach you these things. You have to be exposed to these things. So for me, the connection was when Ellen was sharing, yeah, I know you know this from the incarcerated population because I work there too. I would never read the client's rap sheet. And then now with my new job, I rarely read the reason why they're coming in to services. I'll read it while I'm there, or I listen to them and make a connection that way. For listeners, it would be the same way for, if you're my melanated listeners, the same way that you don't want to teach Karen or Billy about the horrors that the Black people or Black community have gone through, because a lot of times on platforms, people will say that's not our job to teach white people about what we went through. If they want to know it, they have to learn it too. So we can't, expect the same thing as therapists or teachers or any field that person is going to have to teach us everything. If we care to work with these people, sorry to say it that way. Like if we care to work with different people of different populations and different, I don't want to say things, but people that come from different places or have different thoughts and everything, then we too should have to educate ourselves and desensitize ourselves, because nobody wants their nose turned up at them. Even if I decide, hey, I'm about to put some oatmeal and ketchup and some oodles and noodles inside my chili, that's gonna make me feel some type of way if Simone says, ew, that's gross, how dare you? Like, I may not have the confidence to say, well, I love this and I don't care what you say. That might make me throw something that I really, really love into the trash. And now I'm eating plain oodles and noodles that I really think is gross by itself, but to satisfy somebody else. So I'm not really being fully myself. So I love how you said, don't yuck anybody else's yum, because I always think that too, but I like how you put it into the position of this, this is something that the world may not think that it's okay, but that's still somebody's fantasy or somebody's reality. Who are we to say that that's not okay? And I like that, you said that's, I want to say zone, but that's not the word, that precedent, I don't know. You said that calm, or that space for for your client to feel comfortable and speak to you in their reality or their norm.
And I also want to add on, like, I think it's so important to see people that look like us in the room. You know, one thing about me, and especially with all of my clients, it doesn't matter what color you are, I am always going to be me when I walk in. And I think that's so important because especially in the Black community, sex has been stigmatized to us, right? Our body shapes, our curves, our look, our strength has in a way been weaponized to the point where some people either want to hide from it or they run towards it, right? And so, but then it doesn't mean that we don't have our own like internal dialogue that's happening at the same time. Like, wait, should I be wearing this? Should I be doing this? And all of these other things. And it's just like, no, do what makes you happy. Because we don't see any other group that does it. I'll never forget this, and I hope I don't get canceled over a comment like this, but I'll never forget when I was in undergrad and I had an associate of mine, and she was Caucasian. And she was like, yeah, college is all about having fun and sleeping with as many guys as you want. And I just be like, what? Like, okay. That's the white people shit. Like when she said that's what I thought in my head. But then when I realized that, like, especially in my field, they're actually a lot more sexually open than most other races. And it's that self-confidence that gets behind there, right? It's more not like, I'm not looking at myself as like, okay, I'm another notch on somebody's belt or something like that. I'm going there for my own personal pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of times Black women have it, especially Black women and Black men have a really hard time really honing in on their sexuality that is not being used as a weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what's crazy too? As we're maturing and getting older, we are having to work to unlearn the things that we learned as children. So, like, small example, when I was younger, I was interested in going to a new beach because I never saw a new beach before, but you hear about it, and I would want to go to that. But what was it? Last week, I went to a spa, and in the spa, like in the locker room, you could be naked, walk around, but when you walk out, you have to have a robe on, no shoes or whatever. And when I came home from the spa and talked to my mom, I was like, Mom, these girls with the pink nipples, they were just walking around the spa, different sizes, and no robe on. They just walking around with their stuff just hanging out, and they didn't care, like. But for us, melanated people, it seems to be like if you're really petite and stuff, and like, or whatever, you like confident in your body, then you'll walk around with the robe. But if you don't fit that Barbie image or that American dream of what you should look like, then you don't have that. So, but I loved, like, first I was like, wait, what? Why y'all got? But then I didn't say anything to them because I was like, I want to feel confident like that. I want to walk straight from the shower to my locker and get my little bra and put it on slowly opposed to real fast trying to cover up. It's just, like, I just love that you gave that example of it's a us thing, and we do really have to work on like shedding that worry off of us.
I love the fact too, you mentioned earlier how you're consistently educating yourself and you don't expect to learn anything from your clients. Like, I love the fact that you are always like so like involved in like what's new and what's happening, since you're already in the know. Whether a client reads that information to you or not, you're already ready to just be be that person of knowledge and ready to assist in any way that you can. I really love that. The consistent education and honing in on your craft and learning about the things that your clients may or may not be doing.
Yeah.
Keeping you on your toes, as you said. Consistently keeping you on your toes. And your lingerie. Keeping it excited.
That
To what Moni said too, to add on what you said earlier, is that people get the joke of you being a forever student. But I think that's a beautiful thing because life changes. And when we were in our teens and early 20s, there was a joke for me at least, talking about people that were older than us. Old dogs don't like new tricks. Like they don't want to accustom to the new things. Things are always evolving and changing. At some point we're gonna be those quote unquote old dogs that people are pointing at. We have to get hit with the new things that are changing. We have to put our minds back into books. Like even when we were in college, the DSM changed while we were in college. You
now
want to get the old textbook because it's cheaper, but a new textbook just came out. It's like things are, ever evolving. There's a new therapist with a new theory and things, math changing.
Right.
The way that you use your camera, the way that you edit is changing. It's changing and changing. So it's really good that you're evolving and putting all these different types of therapy or certifications under your belt, because that opens you up to more clientele. You're able to help more people opposed to, hey, right now, yeah, I'm helping you in your boo thing on your relationship. But to talk about that specific drug issue or that specific sex issue or that specific family trauma issue, you gotta go to this person and that person. Like it's so much opposed to I can just go to Eddie because she can help me with all of it. Like one stop shop. So
Right.
I think it's great, like that you're continuing to can't stop, won't stop. Like you keep that education. Yeah. So shout out to you.
No, I appreciate that because that's why I even named my private practice Nous, because that's in my native language. That means we understand. So it's supposed to be like we're here to understand you. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, yes, just because someone read about, like even with myself, just because someone may read about Haitian culture, does that mean it aligns with mine? No. But it also is important for me not to only ask my clients, what does it mean for them? Like, does it even play a role? Because one of the things that I've even realized the most of, I had a session and one of my clients was like Muslim. And I'm not Muslim at all, but I knew some things about the Quran. And so I remember one time we had a session, I was like, really, you said this, but I thought you told me you were a wali, and then that means you should be doing A, B, and C. He was like, wait, how the hell did you just use that against me? Because it's also about why he told me from the very beginning, his culture, his religion was so important to him. And if we're talking about anything, like it's something you said a few moments ago, Unique. Honestly, I'm a big believer, and maybe it was because of my program, all of us have these gears that go all at once. And it goes along with my opening. I'm still a daughter, I'm still a niece, I'm still a friend, DJ, EJ. Like, I have all of these roles and hats that I wear. You can't just put me into that one box.
Yeah, that's one box.
So that means we can't put our clients in that one box either. Are they going through depression? Sure. But what could be causing that depression? Let's look at their environmental factors. Let's look at their family factors. Let's look at what they're even doing to themselves, right? Are they isolating themselves in their bedroom, smoking all day, like not really trying to interact, but like, oh, I want friends. Okay. Easiest thing to tell someone, go outside. That's not the easiest thing to tell someone.
Yeah.
Especially if I call it evil karma, because if you guys remember those memes back then, and I'll say that in my session, but like evil karma will come out and be like, why do you want to go outside? You don't have any friends. Who's going to want to talk to you? Who's going to want to be around you? No, it's safer to stay in your bedroom. Stay where it's safe, in your comfort. And we all know comfort means stagnation, which means you're not growing. So I'm not going to tell someone to go to a club on their very first time going out. I'm going to tell you to go for a walk. What's so like a walk? Yeah, why don't you go for a walk around your block? What would that possibly do? Wait, someone smiled at me. Okay. Wait, someone waved hi. Oh, like they recognized me from before. What does that do? It builds up that encouragement to be like, okay, I can feel open to going outside. Yeah. Because someone wants a significant other and they've been isolating themselves, you don't tell them to go to a speed dating event. They're not going to know what the hell to do with themselves in a situation like that, right? But if I get you comfortable being by yourself, being in public settings, having to talk to someone, having to make a new friend, having to navigate that, then you'll be able to possibly meet someone at that point. If you want to have better sex, but you can't even tell your partner that he doesn't even know, or he or she may not even know where your clit is. Maybe let's, like, you know, do you even know where your clit is? Like, do you know what I mean? I hope that's not a bleepable word, but like, it's more about like, let's explore you. Have you even felt comfortable looking at yourself naked in the mirror? How are you going to feel comfortable with your partner looking at you and having that confidence if you don't even feel comfortable with what they're looking at? Mm. And if it's because something about you want to physically change, okay, if it is something that's changeable, why haven't you taken that step yet? And let's break that down. If it's something that you cannot change and is a part of you, what is so hard about that? What is so hard about accepting that version of you? Because we all have two different sides. We're not all perfect, and you should never put anyone up on a pedestal because they are destined to fall off. Mm. I love the saying, every hero becomes a sinner at one point or another. And if you cannot accept your own sins, right, how could you really accept the positive things about yourself? Because the moment it pops up, and I think this is equivalent to anyone, however you feel about yourself will pop up in every facet of your life. If you don't feel confident in yourself, you're not going to feel confident in work. You're not going to feel confident in your relationships. You're not going to feel confident speaking up to your friendships about certain things. It's all encompassed into one thing. So if you don't pay attention to all of those moving parts happening all at once, what happens if you got a flat tire? You got two flat tires, but you only change one wheel. It ain't going to work. So it's just like, you have to know, and again, this is just my own model, but you have to know about so many different things because we are multi-layered. There's no person that's surface. And if someone is surface, that's because they're so afraid to show anyone else their real self.
Yes. Thank you. That was really good. That was a great way to close our hot topic. And so I'm hot. Shoot. I think we need to turn the AC on. Before we officially head out of here, can you please let the people know where they can find you? Website, Instagram, what is the practice, all of that?
Yeah, so I do have an Instagram. I'm not as active on it, but I do read my DMs and everything from it. I'm busy, y'all. I'm busy. It is at I am Edeline. My name is spelled in my little box right below. I am Edeline. My practice is Nous, Konpran. I do have a link. I'm not sure. I think you should be able to find me if you Google Nous, Konpran or anything like that. But honestly, if you look up not trying to sound funny, but if you look up my name, most of the things will pop up under me as well. So I have my own private practice as well as I work for an outpatient facility as well.
Yes, girl. And we can also drop the links down in the description box so that if you are listening and you are interested in contacting Eddie or signing up for some services yourself or referring a friend, right? The information is down below in the description box.
To me, are you referring me? Are you trying to say?
Oh, I think it was just in my head. I was thinking a friend, like how many of us have them? Like you're my friend, like.
No, and I'm also going to have a few events in the next few months to like focus on, like, you know, I am a big believer of one-to-one therapy is great, but also community. I'm really big on community. And sometimes we need to have a friend that understands what we're going through. So I'm planning on having like a mom's event called For Color Moms. I'm planning on having a women's self-care as well as men's self-care. And also like another event involving relationships. I believe, yeah, you've been to my Black Love event that I had a few years ago, and I'm going to be starting that back up as well.
Nice. Absolutely, can't wait. Drop so I know when I can be on the way.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Edeline, for your time and all your gems that you dropped.
Yes.
On our podcast today. It was a pleasure having you, and I look forward to having more conversations like this because this was really good.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Until next time, darling.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. Bye, guys.
we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's that scenario? I was definitely about to sing the announcement song.
Girls, too early for that.
Oh my goodness. Anywho, in today's dorm story segment, we are going to be sharing an article called True Stories of Sex Therapy, published back in December of 2009, which can be found on womensday.com. So the title of the article,
Sex therapy has been out for a long time.
it has. It's not new.
It's probably older than that too.
Right. That's a good question. When did sex therapy first come about?
Sex with you
Okay.
is illegal.
All right, so the title of this story is I slowly lost all desire for sex and I wanted help getting it back again. I want to make sure that I note, hold on, I'm on the wrong thing. Excuse me for a moment. That's okay, man. That's what happens. Okay, I do want to make sure that I know that some of the names and some of the identifying details are changed to protect the privacy of those that the stories are about. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Jessica, a 51-year-old mother of 3 in Scarsdale, New York, says everything about her marriage was great, except for the sex. Sure, things in the bedroom were fine for the first several years of her 18-year marriage, but when parenting and work pressures piled up, her sex life got pushed to the back burner. Somewhere after my 3rd child arrived, I just lost interest in it, she says. Her husband would try to initiate sex and she'd repeatedly turn him down. I didn't want to admit that I had a problem. My husband was very understanding about it. But after a while, her husband stopped asking her for intimacy, and that was a wake-up call. She says he gave up. I knew he was hurting because our sex life was suffering. That was sad for me. After her gynecologist shrugged and said, you just need to relax more. That's your problem. Jessica decided she needed help from an expert who specialized in specific issues of sexual dysfunction. In April, she visited the Medical Center for Female Sexuality in New York, a clinic that takes a psychological and physical approach to sexual health. After an examination and extensive blood tests, Jessica saw a therapist who helped her understand that her lack of desire wasn't her fault, nor was it all in her head. Better yet, there was something she could do about it. So after a few months, on a treatment regimen that included testosterone cream supplements and vaginal dilators for use at home, Jessica says her desire came back. It was funny. All of a sudden, I was thinking about my husband more during the day, even for him to come home interested in sex. I don't dread the bedroom anymore. She continues, my husband thinks it's great too, of course. And there was a night recently where I wanted to have sex and he was too tired. Can you believe that? Okay, Jessica. Got her groove back.
Oh man, wow, that was a interesting story because obviously she mentioned that she had 3 children, so she at least had sex 3 times before
At least 3.
At least 3 times
In the 18-year marriage.
Right. At least 3 times before having this quote unquote issue. And what's interesting is a lot of times when I hear people, whether it's social media or third party, whatever, having issues with sex in their relationship, it's always thinking about their physical attributions. Maybe they're not comfortable with their body, or they might feel like their partner is not attracted to them physically anymore, or we have 3 kids, I don't have time to have sex with you anymore. Or okay, maybe I'm just bored with my partner, it's been X amount of years, maybe we need to pull somebody else to have sex with, or can we like change the dynamics of our relationship, like is it okay to step out or whatever situation. But I love the fact that she checked with herself and thought to speak with her provider first, the gynecologist, even though if you heard me, that was me talking while Monie was talking, like that's kind of messed up,
right?
How the gynecologist responded, but she didn't shut down. She found out that there was more help out there, and she was able to get that not just for herself but for her spouse too. So it's like, wow, this does work. And how she was able to get out of her head and just think like, dang, it's me, there's something wrong with me. And you know, she also noticed when her husband stopped checking for her or stopped trying to like give you
Oh, it's a problem.
oh yeah, this is the problem. You ain't even trying to touch my booty
Right, I
anymore.
don't want him going to go search elsewhere now. I gotta figure this out.
Yeah, so that's what's up.
Yeah, and I also didn't know what I found interesting is that there are like supplements or medications taking testosterone, like it was like a vaginal dilator or something like that, that she took in order to help with the process of being able to get that sexual desire again. I had no idea that there were things like related to that to help get your mojo going. So I definitely found that interesting. I'm always into like learning new information, like same as what Edeline had mentioned earlier, as far as like diving into and knowing more information about the things and the information that is out there in regards to things that are related to sex therapy and therapy in general. So with those two things combined, baby was able to get her groove back. But I'm like, the best part is the fact that she ready to get down now. And
You tired,
baby. I'm tired. But I do love like overall that sex therapy was a great help in them being able to be a vessel in their marriage in regards to helping them be able to come back together. Because
come back together.
Because when girl,
shut up. It's the truth.
Right.
We grown. I hope y'all grown listening.
Right. Everybody that listens to this is not grown.
I heard.
But anywho, that was my train of thought. Oh, because without that could have been like
she lost her train of thought.
Oh my goodness, that could have been the breaking point in their marriage had they not tried a different avenue to figure out how to resolve this conflict in their relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So shout out to the people who already know about sex therapy and are working on that to resolve the quote unquote issues or the troubles that you're having in your relationship or with self. It's not always, you know, can't assume that it's a relationship. It could be somebody that's going, like Ellen said, individually to work on things that they've gone through trauma in the past or things that's with their body to figure those things out. So yeah, I'm happy that everyone is listening, finding out, or possibly you know already about sex therapy, and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
Right, to tell another friend. And with that being said, we're now going to head on over into the community news. Oh my God. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever else may be listening. We have made it to the end.
Yes. So I was doing little dances because April's question of the month was your favorite throwback dance, and I've just been in the dancing mood. So, but we're now in May.
We are in May.
Welcome to May, and our question of the month.
May. It's already May. Okay.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm not ready. Well, I'm sure by this time we already saw the post for that. But okay. So for May, our question is: if you were a cocktail, which would you be and why?
Mm-hmm.
Which juices are you gonna use? Which liqueur?
What juices are you gonna use?
Oh my God. How is your cocktail made and why?
Cocktail made
and why?
And
why did you choose those things? Is it because you have a bubbly personality? Is it because you could be bitter and you can be sweet? What's it?
Right. See, I like this one. The last one we did when we did on the podcast, we talked about types of wine.
Yeah.
And see, now we can talk about types of drink.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm excited about this one. I got some options. Cause I could be a little spicy depending on the day. I could be a little mellow.
But you gotta pick one cocktail.
I said no, but I'm gonna pick a cocktail for every. I can pick a cocktail for every day of the week. No, I don't drink every day of the week. By the way,
disclaimer.
I'm just saying, if it was a Monday, I would be. If it was a Saturday, I would be.
We want to know one cocktail. It doesn't have to be something that's like on the menu or anything, but one cocktail that you're making up yourself. So, Like if you know how like you go to weddings or birthday parties and they be like, this is the Monie. Like what would the Monie be? What's in it?
Yeah.
Okay. You'll see our video.
The Moan.
But she hates when we used to call her Moan.
Because it's a weird name to call someone. Hey, Moan. I'm done with you. Anyway, that is the question of the month. Be sure to answer on our Instagram page, YouTube, and let us know what your drink combination would be with your personality.
Girl, I did not take my allergy pill last night. I was so itchy.
I know how that be. Mine's drunk. All right. So for those of you that do not know, to leave us a review and let us know how much you adore us as your podcast host here on the Truth Carpet, you can do so on all of our platforms. You can let us know on Instagram. You can send us a DM. You can send us an email. Know us personally. You can send us a text. You could, leave us a review on Spotify. Leave us a review on Anchor. Matter of fact, on Anchor, you can leave us a voice message. Yes. Okay, all you gotta do is click the link in our bio for Anchor. Scroll on down and hit message. And then record. And then we will play it on the show. We would love to hear from y'all verbally. But in the meantime, if you just want to go ahead and send us a little message and let us know, leave us a review on the platform. That works too. But we want to hear from you. Love hearing feedback from y'all, especially when y'all listen or you listening in a moment and you send us a little message. Love that.
Yes. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. So I just love how this podcast came together. It was not planned to, have Zainab and Edeline speak about mental health, the concerns and the strengths of it all. But it just flowed effortlessly. So want to make sure that you all know that and celebrate.
Yes.
Share some news, share some resources with everyone that's in your community. That's all I have to say about that.
Or be open to telling your untold story about your mental health.
Ooh.
You saw I did that? See how I tied that on in there? Mental health is important. Give yourself a break this month. Do something for yourself.
And we're not talking about Twix.
Good. It could be a Twix. If a Twix makes somebody feel good. Or a Kit Kat bar. I could have said Kit Kat.
Ellen loves Kit Kats.
So go ahead, treat yourself to something nice for Mental Health Awareness Month. Get a massage,
Whatever makes you happy.
Whatever makes you happy.
And whatever you can afford without stressing out.
Exactly. Because it's Mental Health Awareness Month. We ain't stressing today. Okay. And then because it is May, today is May 5th, today this episode comes out. So in 3 days, it is May 8th, which means it's going to be Mother's Day.
But today, make sure you eat your drinks. Celebrate the Mexicans, the tacos, everything that we do on Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Yes, but 3 days later is Mother's Day. Shout out to my mom and her mom and all of our moms. Their mom.
All the moms that we know. Your mama, her mama, his mama,
all the aunties,
the aunties, the grandmas. You know what I'm saying?
Godmothers.
I'm not a mama today. I could be a mama one day.
One day.
Celebrating Mother's Day.
Yeah, we still live it.
Yes, we
but
are.
Yes, shout out to all the mothers. Thank you for all that you do for us and loving us and taking our, goofiness and not being upset with us, even though we get on y'all nerves.
Right. When I talk about things that I already know the answer to, but I really just need my mother's extra. Mom, just checking in. I want to take 3 of these or 4. Mm-hmm. Oh, just 2? Okay. What's the recipe?
I was just thinking about the macaroni and cheese.
Whoa.
Right.
Did you beat the box?
No.
It's not like when you bang.
Right.
Okay.
At this big age, we still call and depend on our moms. So we love you, Mom.
Yes. Mwah, 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 mwah. And we cannot close out this episode without thanking our wonderful guests. Y'all helped make this episode so amazing. Come on, calm down over here, baby.
I'm happy.
I'm glad that you're happy. We don't need to destroy the mic in the process. So thank you so much to Zainab for your poetry in Suite 223. Thank you so much to Edeline for your expertise and your insight on sex therapy and all that it entailed. We appreciate y'all having y'all on the show. Like when we say that this aligned so well,
Unknowingly.
right? We didn't plan to have y'all on the show like this because we're like,
Oh,
we'll
we
go
planned
good
to
together.
have them, but we didn't
We'll go
know.
good together.
Yeah, we
because of
didn't
this.
know.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was meant to be. So yes, thank you all so much for being on the show. And thank you to you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate you too.
Yes, and in 2 weeks, we will be back in your ears
With another episode.
Thank you so much. Stay black.
And stay proud. Bye.
Wow, I was thinking about some color.
She ratchet.
No, I'm
she
not.
ratchet. She ratchet. Bye.